new hair. What? How was my hands? New hair, new me. Ah! What is up, guys? I'm Nisha and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be talking about makeup instead of doing makeup. I've actually wanted to do something kind of similar to this. Actually, no. I've been wanting to do like an anti-haul for a while, but I use my phone to film, so it's kind of hard to scroll through trend mood. So while I figure that out, I decided that I was gonna do a tag video. So as you can see based on the title, this is the eyeshadow palette tag, eyeshadow collection tag. This tag was created by Angelica. I'll have her channel and her video linked down below, but I personally was inspired to do it after seeing Amy Loves Makeup do it. So let's get into that. Going to my makeup real quick. I don't know if you can see, but I tried a new eye primer. Like I tried to use the foils with like a glitter primer, and it kind of just made it chunky. So I don't know if I'm going to do that anymore. Why am I talking like this? Who am I?
Try this on for size. No matter where you go in life, always keep an eye out for Johnny the tackling Alzheimer's patient.
What's that supposed to mean?
Who am I?
It's been a while since I filmed, so the first item, step, part, the first question, the first item of the tag is the palette that represents me in a color story. So for that, I'm choosing my Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. Here she is. I think this is a really good representative of like me as a person and also what I like in makeup, because there's a lot of neutrals, not gonna lie, there's a lot of neutrals, but I've been wearing a lot of blues lately. So I have 2 pops of blues. I love a nice rose gold. I love a good red. So I feel like this encompasses everything that I want in a palette and everything that I feel looks good on me, and also kind of I feel like this is a good personality palette for me, I guess, because it is kind of boring like yours truly, but you know, there's some pizzazz in it. This whole video is just gonna be me making fun of myself. The second palette in the tag, I have all of these stacked in like reverse order of how I'm going to be speaking. And there's some little palettes on the bottom that I am very worried about. The second item in the tag is the palette that represents me packaging wise. And for that I found very interesting, because my first instinct was to go for the Raw Beauty Kristi and Colourpop's color story, just because I loved the look of like foliage and mushrooms, but then I felt weird taking a collaboration with someone else and like their idea of a palette and like them, the packaging they made, and being like, this is me, this is mine now, you know? So what I decided instead would be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. As you can see, it is very glittery and red is my favorite color. I'm actually 85% sure I bought this for the packaging, because yeah, I love this packaging. I kind of like this palette. The packaging is definitely what spoke to me more. And I think the unit carton was the same too, where it had like this glitter, like spray, I guess, but on the actual like box, and I almost didn't want to throw the box away, but I needed to throw the box away. So I threw the box away. But I would say this is me in packaging, just because I love glitter. I have some on my eyes right now. I love Colourpop's pressed glitters. I love glitter, and red is my favorite color, and I don't feel like this impedes too much on another creator's like creation. The next palette is the one that I feel represents spring. It is springtime, except it might actually be summer now. Does summer begin beginning of June, end of June, or end of May? I think end of June. The palette that represents spring is the Natasha Denona Lila palette. I think this is a very good indication of spring for me, because there are some like taupey neutrals, but there's a lot of pinks and purples and some golds, and whenever I think of spring, I think of pink. And so here, why am I Why am I holding it like this? I'm an animal.
You're an animal! Yeah! I'm an animal!
Yeah!
Just this is a palette that makes me think of spring. I really like, not this one, this one. I really like this duochrome. In person, it pulls definitely purple, but on camera, it's pulling more green, so that's definitely a duochrome. I just think this palette reminds me of spring. Wow, there's a couple of duochromes. Okay, I need to use this palette more, but I feel bad using Natasha Denona, not gonna lie, unless I'm doing like a palette comparison. Unless it's like the $55, wow. Maybe I don't feel bad using Natasha Denona on my channel. I just want to feel. Anyway, I'm looking at this and I'm getting a palette comparison idea, which, going to palette comparisons, while I supplement this, and I want to do more palette comparisons, I ordered stickers that I can like swatch right here, that way I can show definitively like this one with this one and this one with this one, or compare how something looks in the pan to something that looks swatched out, and then compare to how it looks on the eye. And I'm just waiting for them to come in. The next palette is the palette that represents happy, and this might be like controversial opinion, I think, but whenever I think happy, I think orange. I love the color orange. I like red, orange, and yellow. I like the warm spectrum, I guess I should say. And yeah, this actually came out on my birthday, and that was my birthday gift to myself, this palette. And I love this Clementine Press Glitter. I actually have the tiniest little pan in it. I've used it so much. I thoroughly enjoy this palette, and I actually use this palette a lot with another palette that's in this tag now that I think about it, so we'll see that one in a bit. But yeah, this is the Orange You Glad palette by Colourpop, and I just feel happy looking at this. I'm just like, yes. And I do feel like inspired, even though it's a monochromatic palette and I'll just make another orange look. I like it. Sue me.
Mama Roo. Sue me.
The next palette, now this one's actually going to be controversial now that I think about it, because it's the palette that I feel represents grungy. And this is grungy to me. It is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Makeup by Mario palette. So I feel like this is grungy. I feel like everything's muted. There's this beautiful like olive green and then this like denim blue, and I just feel grunge vibes. I don't know. I just feel like this is like dark and muted enough, but also like sultry and seductive, and I just like it. I see this and I think grungy. I think this came out in fall. I think this is one of Anastasia Beverly Hills fall. Oh, rip. I just dug my finger into Hollywood. Dug my fingernail in that. I have no idea how to, oh my God. I'm smart, I promise. Anastasia Beverly Hills Mario palette. It is grunge. A lot of people want this to like come back. I personally don't think it will, just because Makeup by Mario does have his own brand, and if it were to come back, I feel like it would be either in his brand or in a collaboration with KKW Beauty. So I am very happy I have this. I don't really use it that often, especially not on the channel because I can't link it. A lot of people want it, and I kind of feel like I'm just rubbing it in people's faces like, hey, I have this. But yeah, this gives me grunge vibes. Some people may totally agree, some people may think I'm wrong, but you know what? It's my opinion.
That's my opinion!
So the next item is a palette that brings out the girly in me. And I have a little bit of like a long-winded explanation kind of for this, but I also don't. So let me just show it to you and then I'll get to like talking. This is the Colourpop Sweet Talk palette. It is very hard to kind of like see with that holographic background. I hope I'm not causing anyone to have a seizure, but my first palette comparison was between this one and the Coastal Coral palette, and I think that's my highest performing video, which is great. I also adore this palette, and so whenever I think girly, you know, I don't want to say, oh, it brings out the girly in me because it's pink, because I don't think that colors should be gendered. They're colors. I don't think that specifically girls pink or boys blue or whatever. but I do get like such soft and like warm vibes, and I just feel cute when I wear this, and I just feel, oh no, girly, I guess. I am 6 foot tall. It is hard for me to feel girly sometimes, but when I do wear eyeshadows like of this tone, and I wear like the glitter right here that's like a more rose gold glitter, I just feel, I feel girly, I feel happy. So this is a palette that makes me feel girly. The next palette is kind of for a section that Amy kind of added, where there's the girly section and then it immediately went on to the section after this, and so she kind of supplemented something that was like a palette that makes me feel sexy, that makes me feel like a baddie, you know, her words, not mine, huh? You know, a palette that just makes you feel like sultry and seductive, and for that I chose the Colourpop Whatever palette. I love red. That's my favorite color. I think I've mentioned that, like, you know, only 3 times this video, but there's a lot of red in here, and I can just get very blown out eye looks that are still warm toned. There's these 2 beautiful like rose gold, you know, you put this all over the lid, put this to deepen in between like the outer corner and the lid shade. I love that. There's a glitter in here that I've used a lot. There's a super shock shade that I don't like, but I try to use them on my inner corner just to get use out of them. But I feel very sexy and just kind of like fall goddess when I use this. Like, so now that I think about it, maybe this one and the grungy were kind of in this. No, they're different vibes. I don't feel sexy when I wear that like blue eyeshadow. I just feel cool. Yeah, never mind. This, I feel sexy, baddie, whatever, with this palette. I think it's a great neutral palette. Again, there is a super shock shade and a pressed glitter, so if you don't want that, cool, but there's a lot of reds, there's a couple like purples and plums that I really enjoy, a lot of browns. I think you can really make something blown out and just warm and yeah. Yeah. I don't know why, but I wanted to be like sexy and that's not, no, doesn't work. Now this next palette I originally had picked out for something that makes me feel spring, but I moved it doing this because the next section is a palette that makes me feel fun, and that is my Colourpop and Lizzie McGuire What Dreams Are Made Of palette. I feel like this is so fun. The purples and the greens and the pinks, and yeah, there's a couple like pops of neutral, but for the most part, it's color, and I really like this. I think my next video is going to be a look with the gold and the purple, unless the palette comparison stuff comes in. I was asked to make to do a tutorial, and that makes me feel happy that someone was like, hey, can you try out the purples and the golds in the Lizzie McGuire palette? And it's like, yes, this is what I have been waiting for. So if Friday's video isn't a palette comparison, it will be this tutorial. And I am very, very, someone in my apartment. Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures, please come investigate here, please. I'm still wearing my Canada shirt. It's too late. It's too late to go back. Anyway, where was I before my heart attack? Fun. But I just feel like this palette is multifaceted. You can get it like, I feel like there's so many things going on. I just feel like there's a lot that you can get out of this palette, and I really enjoy it, and I'm really scared right now. But yes, I was asked to use the golds. This is kind of like a gold, and this is more kind of like a peach glitter. I'll use both of them, and the purples, and I'm excited that I got like a request to do an eye look. That makes me very, very excited. So please, if there's ever an eye look you want me to try out, I will totally do it. But this is fun, and I am scared. Moving on. The last palette category, I think that's the word that I've been looking for, is the palette that represents inspiration. Now, I was kind of left unsure over If it's a palette that seems very inspired, like it didn't seem like they just threw out a palette, you know, or if it's something that inspires you to use it. Luckily, while I was going through my palettes, I was reminded of one that does both, and that is the Anastasia, Beverly Hills, and Jackie Aina palette. I love this palette. The oranges and the transition shades are a little too deep for me, but that's fine. This palette wasn't really made for people with light skin in mind, and that is completely fine. So that's why I use the Colourpop Orange Glad palette to kind of add, if I want warmth from an orange, that's what I use to add warmth from an orange. So, but other than that, like, you know, Supreme works really well if I'm going for, you know, like a colorful eye look. I have used every single shade in this palette, and I really, really like it. I posted a look on my Instagram that I might link here maybe, or just show here, where I used like most of the purples in the palette, and I really like it. I think that this is a fantastic palette. It might still be available on ABH. Everything that I've talked about in this video that you can still buy, I'll have linked down below. Sorry that there's some limited edition things. I just kind of went through everything. But I really, really like this palette. I think Jackie Aina did a great job with it. Also, this was something that I had kind of up in the air for me in packaging, just because I love faux crocodile, but I also love like iridescence. But again, it's like a collaboration, so I feel bad, you know, taking this design that someone else made for their own palette. You know, it's not like a corporation was like, yeah, throw a marble print on it, and they're like, okay, Jeff, this was Jackie Aina that said, hey, give me the iridescent crocodile. And so I just feel like kind of claiming that as like, yeah, this, I feel like this is me. It's just kind of like, meh. So that is everything that I have for this video. I don't know where to put this because no. So that is everything that I have in this little tag video. I'll have everything that I used on my face and mentioned in this video links down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see next. I upload every Tuesday and Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.